Okay. Good evening. This is a call to order for a special meeting of the Bridgeport Board of Education. This meeting is held solely on electronic means on Teams. Today's date and visible to the public via YouTube. Today's date is June 25th, 2024. The time now is 6:34 p.m. The first item that we have on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of the Education Solutions Now proposal.
Point of order, Madam Chair. Point of order, Madam Chair. Do we not take roll call or attendance?
Okay.
We stop doing that?
Point of order, you're out of line. You're out of order, Mr. Traber. And thank you for bringing that to my attention, but the disrespect will not be tolerated. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll?
Okay. Willie Medina.
Here.
Albert Benahan.
Present.
Christine Baptiste Perez.
Present.
Robert Traber.
Here.
Joseph Sokolovic.
Present.
Lakeisha Casimir.
Present.
Andre Woodson.
Present.
Tahiba Bain.
Present.
And Jennifer Perez is present.
All right, then it constitutes as a quorum. All board members are present. The first item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of the Education Solutions Now proposal for 6th to high school social studies curriculum. I believe this item went through instruction and support services. Ms. Perez, can you confirm?
Yes, it went through my committee on May 21st. This item was it's a curriculum for the 6th to 12th grade. Social studies, we do not have one in the district right now. Ms. Murchison, I guess, will present it in a bit, but this is going to help develop the curriculum for our district and work on implementing for the next school year. It went through committee unanimously passed. That's all I have on it.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Perez.
Motion to approve Education Solutions,
Point of information.
the high school social studies curriculum.
There's
Point of
been
order,
a
Mr.
motion.
Lakeisha Casimir was not recognized. My hand is up. You need to recognize the speaker before they make a motion.
All right, Ms. Casimir,
My hand was
you're
up
making a
first.
motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve the Education Solutions Now proposal for 6th to high school social studies curriculum.
All right, so there's been a motion to approve by Ms. Casimir. Is there a second?
I second it. Tahiba
Been
Bain.
second by Ms. Bain. We're now in debate. But if there was anything you wanted to add, Ms. Murchison, I know this was passed over a month ago, and I believe for Ms. Perez's committee meeting, 8 members were present and attending on it. So there's been over a month to read the information. But is there anything you just want to say before moving forward, and then I'll recognize the speakers?
The only thing that I would like to say is that the purchase of this curriculum will help us to address the void or absence of a 6 through 12 social studies curriculum in the district. We do currently have curriculum writers. One of the things that Mr. Sokolovic questioned us about in the instructional committee meeting when it met on the 21st or the 12th, I can't really remember what day it met now, but when it met, he wanted to know if we had looked at hiring curriculum writers. And through Nadir Clark, who is on the call, we were able to find some funds to hire curriculum writers, but it is currently taking the directors and the curriculum writers on average 6 to 7 hours to write units for one grade level. So we still have to have a company to get curriculum for the other grade levels before school starts. And so this would help us to fill the void of not having one, and also not having the time for a team of curriculum writers to write curriculum for 7 grade levels.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Murchison. So the first hand up, oh, it's in order. Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to postpone this item until Thursday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m.
Your motion is out of order.
The motion is not
dilatory.
out of order. It may be,
Mr.
according to my-
Sokolovic.
the motion is not out of order. The motion is in order as per Robert's
Mr.
rules.
Sokolovic, you had a whole month to read the
The motion
content.
to postpone to a certain time can be applied to the pending question, and it is debatable as far as the merits of postponing it. This will be posted to Facebook. This will be sent to the news media. Please run this meeting according to Robert's Rules of Order. It is unethical not to do so.
It's
You as an attorney
unethical
should
when
know
our
that.
students are failing and you want to postpone
I want to
our
postpone this
meeting
until Thursday.
when there's been a
Now,
month.
And it's been seconded
All
and
right.
that debate opens.
No,
At the maker of the
no,
motion,
I
got the right
haven't
to speak
even
first. We
acknowledged
got 106
first of all, the
pages in
motion's
our packet.
dilatory.
I got
Second, it's not regarding the
don't
motion on
even
the
try using
floor.
those big words because you're basically unethical.
No,
You're basically
Mr.
a very unethical
Sokolovic.
person by not
Mr.
allowing
Sokolovic,
this
you're out of
legitimate
order.
motion to go through.
Mr.
to postpone
Sokolovic, you're
because
out of order.
We received
Mr.
less than 30
Sokolovic, you're
hours
out of
ago,
order. Mr.
106
Sokolovic,
pages
you're
of
out of
data.
order.
What is the
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of
problem?
order.
What is the
Mr.
problem
Sokolovic,
with-
you're
I'm
out
gonna
of
keep
order.
speaking. We could do this all
Mr.
day.
Sokolovic, you're
I'm gonna
out
do
of
this for every
order. Mr. Sokolovic, you're
Point of
out of
order.
order. There's been a point of order.
We did not have this for 30 hours. This particular item has been on the floor for over a month through committee, and you were at the committee. So you had the information.
Thank you, Ms. Perez.
So now we're gonna actually silence a board member from speaking.
Mr. Medina,
what
you
we're
haven't
doing?
been recognized to speak.
I know, but
So
I
there's
can't
a
hear
main
and I
motion
can
on the
tell
floor.
there's a
Mr. Medina, Mr. Medina, you're out of order.
speaking.
Mr. Medina, you're out of order.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Medina, you're out of order.
Madam
You
Chair.
voted favorably in this item, Mr. Medina. So please
Madam
wait till you're
Chair.
recognized. Thank you.
Well, I've been having my hand raised
Mr.
and I
Medina, you're
haven't
out
been
of order.
recognized.
Mr.
And you
Medina,
failed
you're
to
out of
recognize our
order.
hand.
Mr. Medina, you're out of order. You are not the next speaker. Mr. Traber.
Yes, ma'am. My question to begin with in this debate is, why didn't we have a regular meeting when we were supposed to that would have considered this matter in public at a regular meeting? Madam Chair. No answer? Okay. As the point of order that I tried to make earlier, and the point of information that I tried to raise subsequent to that, didn't get recognized by you. I noticed the point of order gets recognized immediately when Ms. Perez raises one about Mr. Sokolovic's motion. I'm raising
Mr.
here.
Mr.
Excuse me,
Traber, we're in
I
debate.
thought I had the floor, Madam Chair. I
And
thought I
I
had
just
the floor.
want a point of order that we're in debate, so your content should be regarding whether to pass it or not.
I
This
am.
was passed by
I am.
committee, as Ms.
I
Perez
am
said,
speaking to the
May
motion, to the item
21st,
on the
and you
floor.
attended the
I am
committee and had
speaking to the item on the
access.
floor, Madam Chair. I
So
am
my point of
speaking to the
order
item-
is that please continue with debate either yay or nay, or
I
why
am
you are
speaking
for or
to the
against
item on the
passing
floor.
this tonight.
I am
Thank
speaking
you.
to the item on the floor. Thank you. And this item should have come to the regular meeting that was scheduled earlier this month. As many of these items were scheduled to be at the last June meeting, the second week in June, beginning of the second week in June. when it would have been a regular public meeting. The public could have attended. We all could have discussed. It would have been closer to Ms. Perez's meeting. I attended that meeting. You pointed out a lot of us attended that meeting, but I only got there at the end. I missed the beginning of that meeting. I had soccer practice that night and showed up at the very end of that meeting. So I didn't see the full discussion on this. And so we should have had a full presentation and discussion on this tonight before it got voted on. And that should have been done in public, in front of the public, at a regular meeting. And yet this is now another special meeting where we're all online instead of doing a meeting in public so the public can all see it. And yes, they can watch online, but we're doing 1, 2, 3 online meetings in a row. And I don't think this is a proper airing of these important decisions, which add up to several $1 million more in public expenditure and why we need to do it. So I don't think this is a proper airing. And Mr. Sokolovic asked you to put it off until we could properly look at it all. We got this packet yesterday. And yes, Ms. Perez, it was in your packet at your committee meeting, but we didn't know it would be discussed, debated, and decided tonight. So today I spent, trying to look it over and give it a good review while doing something else that I'm committed to every Tuesday. So I did the best I could, but this is not a proper review and a proper look at. So I know lately practice has been that we pass things through the committee and don't discuss them at a full board meeting when the full board has a chance to debate it. With that, I pass my time for now.
There is a proper motion on the floor that has properly been seconded. It needs to come to a vote before we continue on.
The next speaker is Mr. Medina.
Point of order. You're out of order, Madam Chair. You need to recognize the motion that was made and seconded and call it to a vote, or let everybody else speak to that motion, which is allowed to interrupt the other motion as per Robert's rules, which you should know as an attorney at law.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sokolovic. You're out of order.
I
Pursuant to your
appeal
master's
your
degree.
ruling of me
So
being out of
now,
order.
Mr. Medina
I
has the
appeal your
floor.
ruling of being out of order.
Mr. Medina,
I second that
Mr.
appeal.
Sokolovic, you're out of order.
It's been
Mr.
seconded, properly
Sokolovic, you're
seconded.
out of
I
order.
second that appeal.
Mr.
If I have the floor, I
Sokolovic, you're out
second
of
and I make that
order.
appeal.
There's been an appeal of your ruling of me being out of order. So now we must discuss that and debate that. And then we must go back to the other motion. You're just extending this meeting needlessly when you're
Do you
two
continue
really,
to want to start trouble? Why do you continue to want to hold up processes?
that's out of order.
Miss
Are you gonna
Bain.
call that out of
Come on,
order,
Miss Bain.
Ms. Perez?
Wait, Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order.
I have had the floor.
Mr.
and it's been
Sokolovic, you're
challenged,
out
it's
of
been
order.
debated.
Mr. Sokolovic, you have been on this
And I
board
am
for 7
appealing,
years,
I
and there's
am
been
appealing
nothing
it.
but
It has been
consistent
seconded.
failure.
Let's
And all I see is
debate
the reason
like
why
the
in front of me.
rules
You
and
are
laws
out
make the
of
rules. How
order,
can we expect our
and right now,
students
Mr.
to
Medina
follow
has the
rules?
floor.
And what's the rush
Mr.
to?
Sokolovic, you're out of order.
Madam Chair, whenever you're ready, I would like to take note, though the chair of the committee that I serve stated that this was approved. This wasn't approved, and like you stated that it was approved. No, we approve it to move it towards the full board, for that way we can all read about it and speak about it. And like my colleague said, we got this less than 30 hours, 106 pages. I can't understand how any of these board members, every single one of you, can read 106 pages and try to make a decision tonight on anything. That being said, as I do have the floor, I would like to go back to that debate and make a motion to move this to a later date, possibly next week. That way we can have a full board meeting in person and have adequate time to read 106 pages that has to do with our kids, with the funding of our kids, and with the management of what we are responsible for. If you want to be irresponsible, then that's on you. We're trying to make responsible
Medina.
decisions.
Point of order.
Do I have the
Demeaning
floor?
statements, Mr. Medina, you're
I'm
out of
sorry,
order
do I
for
have-
that. Mr. Medina, you're out of
For what?
order for share false and deceptive
Point of order.
information. This one
I feel
agenda
that
item
is
is not
true.
106 pages. Also,
There-
you served on that committee,
the
so there is an
packet is
expectation
106
that you read
pages.
the
It has
information
been
already.
shared on Facebook. It has been shared with the news media. Please be honest.
Mr.
in this meeting.
Sokolovic, again, you are out of order.
You are out of
Mr.
order. ma'am.
Sokolovic, you're out of order.
You are trying to
Mr.
jam
Point of
through
Sokolovic,
order.
you're out of
agenda
order.
items without discussion,
Mr.
without
Sokolovic,
thoughtful
you are
debate.
out of order.
Why? What are you
Mr.
trying to hide
Sokolovic,
from
you
the
are
public?
out of order.
You are out
Point
of
of
Mr.
order.
Sokolovic, you are out of
failing
order.
as a chair. You are
Mr.
failing the
Sokolovic,
children
you
of
are out of
Bridgeport.
order.
You are failing the city
Ms.
of
Perez,
Bridgeport.
you have the
You are a
floor since Mr.
disgrace to the
Sokolovic
board.
is
You are a
out of
disgrace
order.
to the legal
Mr.
Wait, I never-
Sokolovic, you are out of order.
I made a point of order. And I
Yes, Ms.
acknowledge,
Perez.
just want to say that I know Mr. Molina doesn't think that we were able to read 106 pages. However, I was able to read the packet in the 30 hours we had and go to work today. So I do have informed decisions. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. I
I'm
agree
glad,
as well.
I'm glad you had the time to do that. I'm glad you guys had to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if you had the packet
I'm
before
sorry,
we
Mr.
did.
Medina,
but
you're out of order.
that's
You don't
up to
have
you
the
guys.
floor right now.
I'm
unless
sorry,
you
I
wanna
had the
use
floor.
that as your
I
second
never
time
gave the
to
floor.
speak.
Well, I'm
He
sorry, I
never
never gave
yielded
up the
the
floor.
floor.
I never yielded the
Mr.
floor to anybody.
Sokolovic, there is no
I'm sorry.
yielding up the floor. There's only two times to speak while in debate. Mr. Medina had
We
his
haven't gotten
opportunity to
debate. We
speak.
still got we still
Mr.
got an
Sokolovic,
appeal
you're
on the
out of
floor. We
order.
got a motion
Mr.
to
Sokolovic, you are
postpone
out
this
of
item,
order.
which is legally
Mr.
debatable.
Sokolovic, you are out of order. Again, we are
Any
in
first-year law
debate for
student
this
should be
item. Mr.
unable to understand
Sokolovic, you
Robert's
are
rules
out
of
of order.
Robert's Rules of Order states
Mr.
that this
Sokolovic,
motion
you are
is
out of order.
acceptable.
Mr.
you are
Sokolovic, you are out of order. This
You are
is the
overriding
same
anything a
information you
first-year law
received in the
student
committee that
understands.
you attended.
I postponed to a certain time.
All right. I'll call for a roll call vote. Ms. Perez, take the vote.
My hand is up, Madam Chair.
And debate still has not taken place on this issue.
You
We are
haven't gone
still
through all the
debating
people, and
this.
I still have a
I'm
second
willing-
say.
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. Mr.
Mr.
Sokolovic, you're out of order. Mr. Sokolovic, you are out of order. I'm going to facilitate this in the pro-con manner pursuant to Robert's rules. Mr. Medina had the opportunity to speak twice. Mr. Sokolovic, you are out of order.
And I will continue
For
to be out
someone
of
that
order.
really cares about the educational advancement of children, the number of times that I have to tell you out of order is completely
800 times
unacceptable.
Until you bring yourself
Mr.
into order.
Sokolovic, you are out of order.
Until you start
Mr. Sokolovic,
picking
you
up the
are out
people
of order.
Bridgeport.
Mr.
And if that's a
Sokolovic, you are
statement
out of
from
order.
muting my mic, cut it out.
Mr. Sokolovic, you are out of
not
order.
authorized to mute
Mr.
mic.
Sokolovic, you are out of
The
order.
chair's job.
Mr. Sokolovic, you are out of order.
You are out of order.
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order.
Yes, I know you can get your little sing-songy
Mr.
voice, but
Sokolovic,
any
you're out of
first-year
order.
law student knows that there's a
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. All right, we're just gonna have a roll call vote for the
No,
item.
Madam
that's
Chair,
before.
I still have a second
debate
chance
has
to
not been
debate.
closed. Debate has not ended, and not one person has debated. Not one
I still
person has debated this issue yet. We were debating my motion. If you
No.
wish to go on to the other motion, you could dispose of this motion properly, as any first-year law student could.
There's been a roll call vote, Ms. Perez.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Is a roll call debate?
Yes,
What is the question being debated? I still have points to make on both questions on the floor.
And
There's
debate
only
has
one
been closed
motion
by
on the
2/3.
floor. That's the
Mr.
main
Benham
motion.
has
Mr.
spoken.
Okay, then I
Sokolovic, you're out
have
of
points to
order.
make on that.
It'd be
I have
easier
points
to
make
hear
on
you
that
if Mr.
motion, Madam Chair.
Sokolovic wasn't out of order all the time, and you would be respectful to Robert's rules and understand that I am facilitating this meeting.
I have points to make on that debate then.
And not everybody had a chance to debate.
Ms. Perez?
My hand is up, Madam Chair.
Point of order, roll call vote is not appropriate at this. Not every member of the board is able to speak to the motion. Jennifer, and if you go along, anybody who goes along with this is corrupt. Of the debate has not been closed yet. Not every member has had a chance to on the main motion. Only motion that's been spoken on is my motion.
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. As far as I'm
Miss-
concerned, you've had multiple turns as well as Mr. Traver and Mr. Medina to speak.
I had
We're
one
moving on.
turn, Madam Chair, one turn, and then I yielded the floor.
I have only
Yes.
one time and never yielded the floor. I've
You
only had
guys
one
are
and
not
never
being recognized
yielded
And
the
because
nobody
floor.
you're
has
out of order.
spoken to
All
the
right, as you
item
talk
of the
now, that's your
agenda or
second
the
time.
motion.
That's your second time, and that's your second time.
We're not speaking on the motion. We are speaking to a point of order and a secondary motion. We have
Mr.
not
Benningham,
spoken to the
you
main
have the
motion
floor.
yet. We have not spoken.
Mr. Banahan, you have the floor, she said.
Oh, thank you. I didn't hear nothing. Thank you, Ms. Perez. The only thing I can say for the record is that when Mr. Joseph made his motion, I second it. And second, I cannot be going through all this. This is all the drama, go back and forth. This is very ridiculous, very unprofessional when people they're watching us. I'm tired. I'm getting sick of this. I'm not here to be wasting my time and wasting the time with other parents and people in community. We need to keep forward doing whatever we have to do. I know we have policy, we got protocol and everything in the bylaws. Let's follow the way it is because I know where they follow. That's the only thing I want to say for the record. Thank you.
Ms. Perez, for the main motion that's on the floor, which is
I still
discussion and
haven't had
possible
my second
approval of the
point of order,
Education
Madam
Solutions
Chair.
Now proposal for 6 to high school social studies curriculum, which this district does not have.
Mr. Traber has
Ms. Perez, take the roll.
Mr. Traber has a point of order. The roll call vote is in. Not every member had a chance to debate this item. The main motion has not been debated. I'm ready to debate the main motion, but you should legally dispose
Mr.
of the first
Sokolovic,
motion.
out of
Yes.
order.
And you are out of.
Andre Woodson says yes. Akeisha Casimir,
Yes.
Tahiba Bain,
The question has not been called.
Yes. I
Joseph
second
The
Sokolovic.
question has not been called, which would take 2/3. The question is. You see this? This is corruption right here. You're all corrupt because you're corrupting the process.
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order.
Corrupting a legal process.
Mr.
We
Sokolovic,
all know this is legal, that you could just vote. You could just
Ms.
vote
Perez.
against the postponement legally,
just
and
go
then
to
we-
the next voter, please.
and we can
Robert
debate the
Traber.
merits of the item. This item, undebated, has no merits.
Rob, you're still on mute. Rob, you're on mute. Mr. Traber, you're on mute.
I would like my chance to speak a second time on this issue. I only spoke once, and I didn't use my 10 minutes.
We're on vote. Yes or no, Mr. Traver,
I
abstain or
would like my
pass?
chance to speak a second time on this issue.
Point of order. This is an improper vote.
Ms. Perez, move on to the next voter. It seems like they need time to
Mr.
consider what they're
President,
gonna
if you
vote.
calling the roll, you're complicit
pass
in
for
the
now.
corruption.
He's passing, you said?
Yes.
Mr. Banahan passes. Willie Medina? Mr. Medina?
Yes, ma'am, how can I help you? I believe there's a motion on the floor. There's still discussion. I've only spoken.
This is the reason we're not
And
going
I
to keep
keep on
forward.
getting muted. And I keep on getting muted. But again, I only spoke once and I never yielded the floor. So I don't know how we're taking a vote on anything when, again, I only spoke once and I never yielded the floor. I gave you the respect, Jennifer, because you had a point of order. So I kept my silence during that process. and I never yielded the floor. So if we're going to do things the right way and be a true
Ms.
board,
Medina, it's either yes,
I'm
no,
sorry.
abstain, or pass.
Like I said,
Mr. Medina,
like I
it's either
said,
yes, no, abstain, or pass.
this is an illegal vote.
Mr.
So
Medina,
I'm
it's
not.
either yes, no, abstain, or pass. You were on the committee and voted in favor of this.
Time to file a complaint with the bar.
Christine Baptiste Perez.
Yes.
I think I got Tahiba Bain. Did I get you? Sorry.
I know you couldn't understand with all this commotion going on, but yes, you did get me. I said yes.
Okay, so Mr. Traber.
I still would like my second turn to speak. I don't understand why the question can be called when we haven't finished debate. And the chair
Mr.
is
Benahan. Mr. Benahan.
Sorry, Ms. Perry, say it again. Oh, you need my
It's
vote?
your time. It's your vote.
I'm still pass. I'm still waiting for Mr. Sucker and Mr. Traver. It's worse. What's gonna happen?
Okay. I'll go with yes.
I haven't voted yet.
I called on you, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
I did not vote, though. I did not enter a vote.
I know. I called on you a few times, though, which you were talking. Go ahead.
Neither did I.
apologize,
When I
but-
was trying to speak, they muted my mic.
I would,
It's a yes or no.
I would like to take
You're
advantage of the bylaw that allows me to explain my vote. I am voting no because this process has been corrupted. We have 106 pages of data to make decisions on millions and millions of dollars in expenditures and the potential stealing of a piece of our property, which also has a member of another committee that's going to use our property. So I'm voting no, and that's my explanation because this process has been corrupted. Thank you.
I'll make a point of information for this particular vote. It's 3 pages for this particular vote motion.
But for this entirety of the meeting, the packet is 106 pages long with over $2 to $5 million in expenditures, depending on which way it goes, which is unacceptable.
Moving on.
Ms. Perez?
Medina.
Ms. Perez?
I got Mr. Medina, then I got to you.
Oh,
Mr.
I'm
Medina?
sorry.
You're on mute,
Yes,
Lily.
like I said, yep, I just unmuted, and so hopefully now I can be heard. But last time I was speaking, I was muted by somebody from your end of technology or whoever's controlling the controls. But like I said, I've only spoken once, and also never yielded the floor. So I believe there's a motion on the floor by Joseph Sokolovic and second by Albert Benahan. That should be addressed.
Mr. Traver, Jesus Christ, I've said everybody's name but yours, Mr. Medina. There's a
Jesus
vote right
Christ,
now
our
to
Savior,
approve
kindly
something
do
that
not
was
use
on the
his name
committee
in
level
vain.
that you voted for. And it's 3 pages. And you had a month to read 3 pages on this one agenda item. It is a yes, no,
Madam Chair, you're out of
pass.
order.
No, because you're confused. And as a
No, I'm
point of
not confused.
information,
I'm not
because you're
confused.
spreading misinformation
I
and
don't need
lies,
it. I need a point.
it's 3
I don't- and
pages.
what-
You had a month
What lie?
to
I
read 3
think all the
pages.
documents.
And are you voting
I
in
said-
favor like you did on the committee level? Or are you voting against
said-
it?
No, in favor in the committee level, it wasn't about in favor. It was about in favor of moving it. That way we can all, as the board.
So did you read the
review
items,
all
Mr.
I'm
Medina?
sorry,
Because
am I
I don't
talking?
understand
Am I
what's the delay
talking?
with your vote.
I don't
It's
talk.
a yes,
I don't like
no.
talking.
Point of order, you're interrupting the speaker,
Mr.
Madam
Sokolovic,
Chair.
you're out of
Again,
order. Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order.
The first year lawsuit.
Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. Ms. Perez, can you just read me the yes votes to see if there's a majority to move on
Ms.
with this
Perez,
item?
I still want to vote.
So please vote, Mr. Traver.
We would vote if you would stop interrupting.
I'm
Madam.
sorry. I'm
Mr.
speaking.
Mr.
Yeah,
Traver,
can I speak?
you're out
I
of
would
order as
love
well.
to speak. I would love to finish, Miss Jennifer, with my vote. And
Go ahead,
because
Billy.
I am being
I've asked you guys
obligated
multiple
and
times
forced-
already. Let's vote. Come on. Yes or no, abstain.
You're
Excuse me.
interrupting Ms. Bain.
Again,
You
you interrupted me. I have a right to explain
Wait,
my
no, I
vote,
didn't say
and
nothing.
because I am,
Draver, I didn't
Okay,
say
go
I
ahead.
nothing.
apologize. I apologize.
I'm sorry, I just wait. It's okay. Like I said,
Oh, your
because
turn.
I'm being forced. Let me know when I can talk. I'm sorry.
Mr. Traber, go. Yes, no, abstain.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Mr. Traber.
Oh, Ms. Perez?
Yes, that's me.
I interrupted Mr. Medina. I thought it was Ms. Bain, and I apologize. So please let Mr. Medina finish.
Mr. Medina.
Thank you. Because I'm being put under the gun and under duress, I vote no. Simply reason because this is out of order. There's a motion on the floor, but I vote no because we want to push it over forward to another state. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Traber.
Yes, I am voting no too because I have questions about this plan that I haven't been allowed to ask. And I wasn't there at the committee meeting when you all discussed this. They may have been answered there, but I wasn't. And we didn't discuss them here. We didn't have a full discussion. And so I'm voting no.
Okay. Mr. Benaham.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. The reason I'm gonna vote no because this is not incomplete information. In the last minute, we're gonna read so many things. We got family things to do and all other things to do to be taking our time to read things the last moment. The reason I vote no is because there's no information complete and nothing is correctly the way it is. And this is a shame that we have to go through this.
Okay. Just another point of information. This is the same exact information for a month ago. In which most everybody but Mr. Traber and Ms. Bain were in the meeting. That's my point. That is.
And a point of information to that is that it's not complete and there are questions about it, which I don't know if were heard or not. So just to be clear.
Mr. Traber said no. Mr. Medina said no. Mr. Benaham said no. Ms. Baptiste Perez, yes. Ms. Bain, yes. Ms. Casimir, yes. Mr. Woodson, yes. Jennifer, yes. Mr. Sokolovic. I didn't hear his vote. Okay.
I was a no with an explanation.
Thank you.
Hopefully the minutes enter it.
All right. And just for a point of information for the public, when board members go to the committee level, committee members and board members have access to the materials as well as YouTube and several months, in this case, for this item, a month, to review the materials. And in this particular agenda item is just 3 pages. So based off the votes, the motion carries. We will now have a 6 to high school social studies curriculum for education outcomes for the students. So the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval to purchase supplies for Discovery Ed. Again, this item was presented on May 21st, 2024, and it passed. There's been over a month to review this item, watch the meeting on YouTube, and board members had access on their portal to review the information well in advance of this special meeting. So I think Ms. Casimir?
May I have the floor, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion to approve purchase supplies for Discovery Ed.
There's been a motion to approve the supplies purchased for Discovery Ed by Ms. Casimir. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been seconded by Mr. Sokolovic. We're now in debate.
I would like to ask it to be presented. I would like to have it presented by staff, please.
Mr. Sokolovic, you don't have the floor right now. Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. Right now, Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order. Mr. Sokolovic, you're out of order.
Like a presentation.
Mr. Sokolovic, you do not have the floor.
So you don't want staff to present anything?
All right. Ms. Murchison, could I believe this item you presented, could you please give a presentation on it?
Yes, ma'am, but may I please have a few moments to pull the PowerPoint presentation up so that I can share my screen and present what we previously presented?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, point of information, point of order, Miss Scott is also on the call.
Oh, Ms.
She-
Scott?
Yeah.
I think she, yeah, I recall.
While we're waiting, can I ask a question?
Mr. Traber, I prefer just to wait till after, so that way, because technically we're in debate. But I know that there were questions posed.
Actually, debate and
so-
discussion are used interchangeably in Robert's rules.
No, there's been a motion and it's been seconded. It's been made by Ms. Casimir, seconded by Mr. Sokolovic. And I want to just make sure that any additional information from this presented a month ago is just given to us so we can make an educated debate.
I wasn't there and this question wasn't asked a month ago, so
I
the same question was
So,
asked in the
Ms.
last debate. But
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So why are the Discovery Ed supplies necessary? The supplies are directly aligned with the NGSS framework, where students are given the opportunity to learn by doing. They're a large part of the NGSS assessment that students take in grades 5, 8, and 11 requires them to apply the learning, not just answer multiple choice questions. When students are given the opportunity to engage in hands-on experiences with the materials, it deepens their cognition. This will also prepare students for those CTE courses that they will take at the high school level. Having access to the right resources has shown academic growth. And the amount of the materials purchased that we are requesting is $335 of 14. Mr. Sokolovic did ask in the teaching committee meeting, how much were the materials for a different science program that was used once before? Portia, would you please unmute yourself and share the research that you found with Mr. Sokolovic?
Well, he asked how much we paid for the Activate Learning, which was $390,729. But I do want to point out, we didn't just ask for the materials. We also asked for the professional development. And Mrs. Baptiste Perez made a very good analogy as it related to buying a new car and not having the parts. Well, it's the same thing with Discovery Education. We can buy the kits, but if we don't teach the teachers how to utilize both, then we're also at a deficit. So we did request both at that last meeting. But the difference is that with Activate Learning, it was $390, and for Discovery Education, it's actually $432 if you include the professional development. And we did not receive any professional development with the Activate Learning. So it took like 3 years to really get off the ground with teachers navigating the platform and understanding what the performance expectations were for the students. Questions?
Mr. Sokolovic, do you have any more questions? Because I know that was the specific question that you had in the committee meeting. Your hand is raised, but
Yes,
I think
I got a couple. I got a few questions, but the maker of the motion got the right to ask the question first. If they got
so
any
maybe we
questions.
ask questions?
If the maker of the motion doesn't have any questions and the chair recognizes me to ask my questions, I'll do so.
All right, Mr. Sakalovic.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for answering that question. So there's basically $50,000 odd spread between this program and the last program, and it's inclusive of some professional development components. And I know I asked this question last time, but if you could refresh my memory, this is operating expenses, correct?
This is for what we're requesting right now is professional development and for the kids for grades
Correct.
6 to 8.
Correct. I understand that much. I just wanted to know the
No,
the
Mr.
funding questions.
No, Mr. Sokolovic, this is not going to come out of the operating fund. This is coming out of a grant that Nadir identified that allows us to purchase resources that we need to go with the curricular materials.
Okay, yeah, I don't dispute that. And as the meeting was a while ago, I just needed a refresh of my memory, which is one of the reasons we'd like to get our data ahead of time so we could be able to thoroughly vet it and make these decisions, because memories do become a little fogged. And I think that's my only question I got for now. I might think of another one, but for now I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Traver.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I understood the last thing Ms. Scott said, which was the Activate Learning, which was the old program, was for $335,000 we spent, because I missed your presentation before. And this
Just
one,
for the record, I'm sorry, Mr. Traver, it's Scott Cham. Scott Cham.
Sorry.
Just so everybody knows, they keep calling me Scott, but it's actually Scott Cham.
Old habits, I apologize.
No, it's okay. And it's $390, just so you know, Mr. Traver.
The old program was $390?
Yes,
Total.
it was
Okay.
$390,000.
I thought that's what you said, but then I looked at this one as $390, and so I got myself confused as I was adding up the numbers. So I thought I'd misunderstood you. So this one is $390, and the new one is $390 plus the $97 in PD.
No, the new one for the kits, the materials are $335. But if you add on the $97,000 for PD, it's $432. So it's really like a $41,000 difference. However, the last one, we didn't receive any professional development. So we're actually paying more for the last program, not for the new one. And they're also providing, some freebies, which include some learning walks and also training the principals.
Okay, so now the other question that I had was, you said so with the old program, it took us a few years to get the teachers up to snuff, et cetera, because we didn't buy the PD to go along with it and some of the other stuff you just mentioned.
Yes.
So then the question I have is, having stumbled and bumbled or whatever, gotten our way through that, why change programs now?
Because this one is K-12, number one. Before we had 3 different programs. We had HMH for K-5, and for 6 to 8, we had iQuest. And then, high school has many different pathways. This one is K-12. We're all using the same platform. Okay. So if I'm in 5th grade, you know what I mean? I'm going to have it in 6th, 7th, and 8th, and through high school, at least until 2028. So they're able to navigate it when they move on to the next level.
Okay. I gotcha. And then you said this one is paid for with a grant. What grant is that?
Nadir, I noticed that you're on the call. Maybe you can answer that question for Mr. Traver about which grant we were going to use for the Discovery Ed materials.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is going into our ARP-ESSER budget.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that answer.
It's going into our ARP-ESSER budget.
So this is a little new to me. This is my first year going through a budget. So this is money that we could use for other purposes too. But we have to use it this year.
Correct. And we're doing that for this purchase.
Yes, I understand. Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other hands up at this time. So if there's no other inquiries regarding this, we'll take the vote. All in favor for the approval of the purchase of supplies for Discovery Ed, say aye.
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 Right. The ayes, I mean,
Aye.
any nays? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of Discovery Education Professional Development Proposal. Again, this was presented on May 21st, 2024, and it passed with a month for board members to review the content, watch the YouTube videos. So this is regarding the last motion we just passed was for the purchase of supplies. This is for the professional development proposal. Ms.
I have the
Perez?
floor, Madam Chair.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes. Yes, Ms. Casimir?
I had wanted to make a motion to approve the Discovery Education Professional Development Proposal.
Okay, so there's been a motion to approve the Discovery Education Professional Development Proposal. Is there a second?
Second.
And it's been seconded by Ms. Perez. We're now in debate. I see the slide is up regarding the professional development. Is there any additional content you would like to present, Ms. Murchison?
No.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. No, ma'am. The only thing I'd like to do is highlight that one of the things we've learned is that administrators or leaders in the district feel like they need professional development also to support us with monitoring the implementation of the program. And Discovery Education is giving us the PD for the principals or leaders in the district for free. And normally they charge for that. The other thing that Discovery Education is giving us is that 2 times during the school year, they will come out and they will walk the classrooms with us to help us monitor our implementation of their product. And then they're going to give us feedback and ideas for next steps on how to improve our implementation. They're also giving us that for free as well. That's all I have to say about the Discovery Ed PD.
All right. Mr. Sokolovic, your hands up. Oh, so sorry. I thought that was Mr. Sokolovic. That's Mr. Medina.
It was. I dropped it because she answered my question. Thank you.
Huh? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, she covered the question I have.
Okay. Mr. Medina?
Yeah, just checking on the information again. So this is going to begin July 1st. Is that my understanding? That I've read that correct?
Yes, the professional development would be throughout all of next school year, and it will start when the administrators come back on contract in August. And then Discovery Ed will also provide us PD for teachers at the Teacher Back to School Conference.
So you mentioned August, but I was just checking because I see that it notes here that it's starting July 1st. This contract says that it's starting, pricing is based on term state July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. And I just want to confirm that are we starting in July or we're not?
Yes, they'll be working with both of the science directors to provide them with professional development to plan for the school year.
Okay, just want to confirm that and put that out there to make sure we know people are working on that already. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Traber?
Yeah, I have a general question about this and these other contracts. I don't know if it was discussed at the committee meetings. And I guess it's 2 questions that are directed, I think, to you, Madam Chair, and Ms. Murchison. why didn't these contracts go to the contracts committee?
That this is an extension of an existing contract. So it is not a new contract. We're already under contract with Discovery Education. First, we entered, we started Discovery Education in grades 9 through 12, and then we added on the elementary grades, and next year we're adding on the middle school grades. Yes. So this is an extension of an existing contract. It is not a new contract.
Okay. So why didn't it go to the contracts committee? I guess I'm asking the chair.
Can I interject just for a moment? No?
Yes.
This started last year was the first year, Mr. Traber, that high school, that first phase. So that contract was probably negotiated, I want to say 2021, 22. So this had to be passed by that time. And then it was phased, like the first phase was high school, the second phase was elementary, and this is the third phase of that initial contract. So just to give some context.
Oh, I understand that. And so that would mean that either we voted on it, we, the board, not before I was on it, or most of us were on it, voted on it at a previous board meeting a year or two ago when it started, or we didn't, and this is an extension like we're voting on it now. So I'm just curious why, and that would lead to my next question, which is whether or not these go out to bid. The previous one we just voted on. So just general question.
I'm not sure if Tony is on the
This
call,
one I understand why it doesn't go out to bid. If it's an extension of something we already had, what you just said, Ms. Scottshine, makes perfect sense. So I understand that. The other one is new. You know, I meant to ask in the last session, you know, are we putting these out to bid? Do we get bids? How'd that work? But also, they should all be going to the contracts committee, and they're not.
So whether or not it goes out to bid, I did speak with Tony Pyrus in the business office, and Tony indicated because these are instructional materials, curricular materials, we have a waiver that indicates they do not have to go out.
I see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Woodson,
I can make a motion to approve the professional development extension.
it's already been moved. Mr. Woodson, we're in debate right now. So we're debating the topic. All right, Mr. Medina, this will be your second time to speak. You have the floor.
I apologize, Madam Chair, my hand was still up from before.
All right, seeing that there are no other hands up at this time, during debate, everybody's had their opportunity to volunteer. We'll take the vote. All in favor of approval of the Discovery Education Professional Development Proposal, say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of SAT and PSAT purchasing. Again, this was presented on May 21st, 2024, in Ms. Perez's committee and passed, and there's been over a month to review.
Have the floor.
Yes,
Madam
Ms.
Chair.
Casimir. Ms. Casimir, you have the floor.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to make a motion to approve the SAT and PSAT purchasing.
There's been a motion by Ms. Casimir. Is there a second?
I second Mr. Menahan.
It's been seconded by Mr. Benahan. We're now in debate. Now, because this was again presented at the committee level, is there anything that needs to be added or increased from the committee level that could be presented, Ms. Murchison?
No, ma'am.
Right. Mr. Sokolovic, you have the floor.
Yes, I would like the community and ourselves to see the presentation again to refresh our memories, please.
Mr. Sokolovic, there was no presentation on this. We only had a discussion. The thing, what I indicated on May 21st is that Bridgeport always gives the SAT assessment. The only thing that we're adding new, or I won't even say adding new, or we're bringing back, we're reviving.
We lost you.
You cut off.
Dr. Murchison, we lost you.
As well. So that's not new to Bridgeport. That's just something we are bringing back to
We
Bridgeport.
lost.
Right, I'm sorry,
we
point of
lost
order,
you there, ma'am.
Ms.
Perez, we
Murchison,
lost you.
unfortunately, you went out while you were speaking. Could you just repeat what you just said? I apologize, but you went out, so we didn't get to hear you.
It's okay. Can you hear me now?
We hear you fine.
Okay, so what I indicated was that we didn't have a presentation. We just had a discussion. Bridgeport always gives the SAT assessment. The only new thing, or the thing that we are bringing back, is that 8th graders will take the PSAT assessment. And that is so that teachers have data that is more closely aligned with the SAT to prepare them for the SAT assessment when they enter high school. Board Member Perez indicated when she was an 8th grader in Bridgeport, she took the PSAT assessment.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, now I guess I got some questions. I just since the public doesn't have access to this, we're ordering 1,400 SATs for what grade is this? For the SATs, 1,400. I guess that's just the 12. For the 11th, we're ordering nothing. I think, do we have free for 11th grade? I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, Mr. Sokolovic. The state pays for that.
Thank you. And the PSATs for the 10th grade, 1,800 units. And the PSATs for the 8th and 9th grade is 3,000 units. Now my concern is our children are over-tested. Tested to death. My concern about especially the 8th grade testing, they likely got some new testing involved with the science exam. That's a big year for the science exam, and they're taking all sorts of metrics. Is it really beneficial for the 8th graders to take this additional assessment, which will actually take away from instruction time, and will we be more likely to prepare them for the tests? I'm really concerned about the amount of time our children taking tests, about the psychological health, especially at such a young grade, such a high stakes test. That was kind of a question. Looking for your opinion on it, ma'am. I'm sorry, Dr. Murchison.
Oh, it's okay. Currently, the 8th graders take the SBAC assessment for math and for ELA. And the SBAC assessment is not aligned to the blueprint of the SAT test. So that data does not support the high school teachers with preparing them to be successful on the SAT assessment, which is why it is recommended that we give the PSAT to the 8th graders so that when they enter high school, their teachers have data that aligns to the test that they will take in high school, and they can use that data to prepare them to be successful on that assessment.
And right, our college is moving away from, a lot of colleges moving away from using the SAT as a metric for entry.
Currently, one of the universities that we partner with is changing their criterion to be able to take dual credit courses. And one of the criterion will be student scores on PSAT and SAT assessments. So we want to make sure that we're giving our students all the opportunities possible to take those dual credit assessments with those pending changes coming from the university.
Yeah, okay, I'll pause for now, wait for my second round. Thank you.
Mr. Traver, your hand is up.
Somebody has YouTube on. You can hear it.
Mr. Traver, your hand is up.
Yes, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I understand. So the 36,000 at the bottom is a new cost. That's what you're adding. The 8-9. Since it says 8-9, I want to make sure because you speak to 8th grade, but it's listed as 8-9.
Because 8th graders and 9th graders take the same PSAT test. So that's why you don't see a separate line item for
So
them.
that item includes kids that were already taking it.
No, sir. And
those are all the new kids that'll be taking it.
That's all. About 1,500 of those students are new students. So half of the cost on that line is new.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Seeing no other hands up at this time, we will take the vote unless anyone has any last minute questions. Mr. Sokolovic, this is your second time speaking. You have the floor. Mr. Sokolovic, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was muted. I did not take myself off mute. Yes, I still remain very concerned about the amount of testing our younger students are taking and the effect it has on their psyche and just all these high stake tests. And in that vein, I do understand the necessity of preparing for the SATs, which could start in the 10th grade. So with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to amend the item to remove the grade 8 and 9 SAT exams from consideration.
I second that motion.
There's been an amendment to the main motion to remove 8th and 9th grade PSAT testing. It's been moved by Mr. Sokolovic and seconded by Mr. Traver. We're now in debate for the amendment.
Madam Chair, you have that wrong. That was Mr. Medina, I believe.
No, I
That was
didn't
correct.
see.
I
He
did.
didn't pop up on my screen. You were on my screen at the time I heard second. So
Well, he never had his hand raised or his mic.
Madam
unmuted.
Chair,
I was the
you're
only one.
wrong.
all right, there's been a motion and it's been seconded. So to amend. Ms. Murkinson, I see your hand is up.
Yes, ma'am. I just would like to caution the board against removing ninth graders and eighth graders, as all of the surrounding districts near Bridgeport, that would be Fairfield, Trumbull, Shelton, Stafford, they give the PSAT assessment to their eighth and to their ninth grade student body. We currently are one of the few districts in Connecticut that does not give it to our eighth grade students. So I understand that there's a motion on the floor, but I did just want to caution the board against doing that, because of the dual credit and the advanced placement courses that we want our students to take and be successful in. And taking the PSAT helps to prepare them for that success. And I do see that Madam Superintendent has her hand raised as well.
Yes, Dr. Levy David, you have the floor.
I guess my concern with the removal of this assessment, I do understand that in the past, there was a great deal of excessive assessments of students in this district. And from what I examined and observed and shared with you guys over the last couple of months, the data did not speak very highly of the outcomes that students experience during that testing. This, however, is a very different year. The assessment calendar has been extremely modified from what it looked like in the past to ensure that we're not overly assessing students. Ms. Murchison has taken care of that. And we want to ensure that not only in our partnerships with the University of Bridgeport and other nearby universities, but also in the work that we are doing to ensure that our students are competitive, that they're exposed to the rigor, and that teachers have the opportunity to intervene in order to prepare them for high stakes testing, that we are affording those opportunities. That is extremely aligned with equity, and it's extremely aligned with the opportunities that we have to provide for students in Bridgeport, just as they are afforded to students in surrounding districts. It would be ill-advised not to provide students who need to be prepared for higher rigor, for competitiveness, for admittance to universities, with the opportunity to prepare for assessments that will be determining their admittance to said universities. So I would really caution the board to think very carefully about removing the ability for students to be able to prepare and to have access to these learning and rigor opportunities, which is what our parents fully expect every student in Bridgeport to have the opportunity to have access to.
Madam Chair?
Yeah,
My hand's up as the maker of the motion. I'm just waiting to speak.
you have the floor.
Thank you. Yes, I believe this is either for Dr. Levy David or Dr. Murchison. Can you like run through the number of assessments our eighth graders take, especially the high stake ones? It'll help form my opinion, because I'm all for the equity and I do not disagree with that whatsoever. My concerns are basically psychological in nature and the pressure that our students face in taking these high stakes exams at such a young age. So if you could briefly go over the number of exams they got to take. I know they take the science test, and is the test mandatory for them to take, or is it voluntary?
Yes, currently the mandatory assessments for an eighth grader in the state of Connecticut are the eighth grade math SBAC exam, which is given in May. The SBAC reading exam, which is also given in May. And the eighth grade NGSS exam, which is also given in May. The PSAT test is not a mandatory test. It is a recommended assessment, and it would be given in October.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got. That'll ease some of my concerns.
Mr. Medina?
Yes, to the speaker that just spoke and also to Ms. Carmela's point on their objection, respectful objection to heed us from making such decisions. I just wanted to make a point that this is why a great sit down and overview of everything, that way we can have time to ask questions and really have great debate and get great information would help us in the future make decisions together as a group for this reason. And this is why some of these questions are coming up now when we can have other discussions prior and open communication. And I just wanted to, open that door, that window. That way you guys know that this is what we're talking about. This is exactly my point.
Point of information.
Yes, Ms. Perez.
This was presented in committee.
Thank you, Ms. Perez.
What's the point of that? Because I'm just making a point to their overview.
You're saying that we didn't talk about it.
No, I'm saying to have discussion. I'm not talking about just talking about it. I'm not talking about just bringing it to committee. There's more to it. It's having a good sit down, to having a good discussion with the board and having information and availability to ask questions and send questions. It's just doing free stuff instead of being reactive. We can be a little proactive. That's my point. Sorry that I'm offending you and making any point, but I would like to see that we can do better together.
Yes, Ms. Perez.
So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Let the record reflect that Ms. Perez is not offended. This was discussed already in committee. All right. Mr. Woodson, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just like the people to know that, Ms. Perez makes it a point to let people speak in our committee meetings. And if you didn't have a chance to speak or you wasn't listening, that's unfortunate.
I never said I never listened. I knew all the information.
You don't have the floor, you're out of order. I just have a comment. Earlier this year, Ms. Murchison gave the state of the district. We've had our SAT reports. I vividly remember it from the former superintendent, which was also public records. I recall PSAT scores as low as in the 400s. I think it's critical in order for our students to have a competitive edge, and with our partnerships with universities, that we move forward with it. The central office is addressing the over-testing, but given the critical failure in this district for student outcomes, I think the earlier we can prepare our students for the SAT and to receive an actual competitive score, it's going to be for their betterment. And removing the scores based off of over-testing, like I mentioned, is already being addressed. All right, so I don't see any new hands up, right? Dr. Levy-David. And then, if you have your hands up, please take it down, because if it's staying in place, I'm going to just address it as you've already spoken and you've forgotten to do so. So I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Levy-David.
I just put my hand up after Dr. Levy-David.
I would like to point out that for students who take the PSAT in 8th and 9th grade, their ability to perform well on that test is remunerated with scholarships. And I just don't think that we want to be known as a district where we deny our students with the opportunity to earn scholarships or even National Merit Scholar status by not affording them with the opportunity to take the PSAT. I don't see any benefit or upside to that argument. The test is given in October. It is not given at the end of the year. It should not constitute an undue level of stress for our students. And if parents feel that their children may experience any type of negative impact from taking the test, they have the opportunity to opt out. Also, Mr. Medina, I'd really like to address that my name is Dr. Carmela Levy-David, not Miss Carmela. I don't call you Willie, and I would really appreciate being called by my rightful title. Thank you so much.
Well, if I did use your first name, I was just
Mr.
reading.
Medina, you don't have the floor right now. Mr. Medina, you don't have the floor. Mr. Traver?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to respond to Mr. Woodson's point. There is no doubt that the only person since January that has allowed people to fully participate in her committee meetings has been Ms. Perez. And that has been appreciated by all of us who have been excluded from the other committee meetings. And if the members of the public aren't aware, Mr. Sokolovic and I have been excluded from all committee meetings. So we deeply appreciate Ms. Perez's allowing us to participate. As I said earlier, I was not able to go to that committee meeting and showed up at the very end when the last item was being discussed. So I was not able to ask questions about the items that are being presented tonight. I raised earlier the fact that this would normally have come before the regularly scheduled committee meeting in early June, where the public and the board could have had a full discussion under normal circumstances, not online. We seem to have changed to a narrative that Ms. Baptiste Perez has been
Mr. Traver, you're out of order. Mr. Traver, we're in debate about the item.
Mr. Traver, you're mute. Mr. Traver, you're mute. They're mute.
They are normally fully vetted before one or two committees before they come to the full board. And lots of questions get asked in those different meetings when people have a chance to have a full discussion. And I don't know why you keep muting me, Madam Chair, because you are presenting a narrative that somehow—
Mr. Traver, I don't even have those control functions, so that's a point of order for sharing false information.
Okay, well, I get muted. I don't know why I'm being muted.
Mr. Traver, just stick to
point
the
of order,
amendment that's on the floor.
Excuse
That's
me.
what's being debated. Our children are failing, and I would love you to explain why we shouldn't open the opportunity to 8th and 9th graders for the merit scholarship.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have the floor.
Point
and I am
of
speaking to
order.
this
You
process.
are out of
I'm
order,
not out
Mr.
of
Traver,
order.
because you
I am not
continue
out
to
of order.
spread
I'm
false,
speaking to this
deceptive,
process.
misleading, and slanderous material
Oh my
out to the
God, Madam
public
Chair, I can't believe
regarding
you're
my
saying that because
conduct. And all
have
you
been
have to do is
presenting false and
explain
misleading
as to
material
why
all
you
night.
are for stripping 8th and 9th
Madam
graders
Chair, I'm not
of
even
the
opposed
ability
to
to
this
take
motion.
the PSAT
I'm not even
when
opposed
it
to
would
this
give them a
motion. I'm opposed
competitive
to your—
edge. That is the amendment that's on the floor. Mr. Sokolovic has made the amendment to strip 8th and 9th graders of the ability to take the PSAT. If you are for it or against it, that is all you're supposed to explain in debate. Not your false monologue of how you've been abused or all these false claims of corruption. Just explain as to why your position is that our 8th and 9th graders cannot have these educational outcomes for their betterment. As a former educator, I would love to hear your opinion as to that. However, it's never regarding your opinion.
And if you would simply follow the process, Madam Chair, everything would be fully vetted. But they don't go to all the committees they need to go to.
I just would like to say that this is enough.
Ms. Bain, I agree with you.
Please stop.
I agree with you. And so if we could stop taking snipes at people about whether they were fully vetted at committee meetings, we could get through this.
Problem at hand and stop throwing
I agree.
innuendos and
throwing the
innuendos at people.
The chair should stop doing that.
With what
Mr. Traver,
we are actually.
you should stop doing that.
You've done it on every motion, Madam Chair.
Mr.
We
Traver,
have people, okay, excuse me. We have people on this call with us that's trying to get our students materials for learning. We have yet to say yes or no to what's on the table. We want to remove SATs. We got all of this stuff. And I understand people have oppositions, and that's fine. But it's starting to become bickerish and childish. And we as adults need to set aside our hurt feelings, our ill feelings towards each other if we have them, put it aside, and let's get to business at hand. Because this is why we constantly have 5, 10, 15, 20-hour meetings and nothing's getting done. If you have an issue, table an issue that you have with Christine, with Traber, with whomever, Shikolovich, Tahiba, whoever, and let's get down to what's at hand. We don't have to be like, oh, I'm doing this because I know for a fact that Ms. Perez is not the only one who invited the entire board to speak. Because Ms. Casimir did the same thing. So let's not do that and stop pointing fingers at people, and let's look at our children that is either being hindered or progressed. Enough of this childishness. We are too old to be doing this. We back and forth. Who said this? Who said that? Come on, really? And then we wonder why we're lacking and failing our children. Well, I'm not failing my children anymore. Enough is enough. I'm done. Thank you. I yield. If I have to say that, then I yield my time. Thank you.
you don't have to say that.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I thank you for listening, everyone who listened. Thank you. I'm enough. Okay, thank you.
So the proper process is everything goes to the proper committees, and they haven't been going to the proper committees because the committees haven't been meeting. And so we don't have a full discussion, and we should have it at the full board. Stop cutting me off. Thank you.
Mr. Benahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to say this for the record. Madam Chair, if you're not the person controlling mute the people, please, whoever's doing that is very unprofessional. The board member had to speak. And second, I agree with what Ms. Tahiba said. I want to say that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benahan. On my end, Mr. Sokolovic, I have you as speaking twice.
I was asking questions at first. And
but it was in debate.
Questions are questions are not debate, according to Robert.
Exactly. That's why. But you used your time in debate to ask questions. If you would allow me to finish my statement to you, I'll allow you to make one final debate because we need to move forward with the amount of items on our agenda. So if you have anything in debate to add to this as to why 8th and 9th graders should not take that PSAT or have access to it, please stay forward with the debate.
Yes. To frame this as one side not caring about the psychological damage happening to children is wrong, just as wrong as it is to claim that people worried about the psychological damage are trying to steal something from our children's future. Everyone in this meeting needs to stop going back and forth and using it as an attack when we disagree that we don't care about the kids. Because stress with children could cause them to commit suicide. Would somebody be appropriate to say, oh, you just want kids to kill themselves? No, absolutely not. That's not appropriate. It's balancing, discussion, keep our personalities out of it. It's for the kids. If we all care about the kids, we can disagree. I went into this debate concerned about the psychological damage possible to our children. Those concerns were pretty much alleviated, and I'm ready to move on with a vote on this and vote against my own amendments. This is what happens when we have thorough debate. This could have happened 10 minutes ago, but it didn't because people get offended. When we have thorough debate, it's
Mr.
good.
Sokolovic,
Yes, Madam Chair.
have you made your point about the removal of 8th and 9th graders from taking the PSATs?
Yes, I
Not
have.
about
Yes,
that.
I have.
That
And
is
call the
the
question. I call
amendment
the
to the
question
main
on my
motion
own
here.
motion.
That's
Call the question
the
on my
only
own
thing that
motion.
should be debated, not the means and methods.
I will
through
call
which
the question on my own motion. Let's move on.
In
please.
order to call the question, you need 2/3 votes. I suggest you don't do that and just let us move forward with the vote, because then we have to vote on whether to call the question or not.
Okay.
All right, so right now we're going to vote. The vote is regarding the amendment to the main motion, not the main motion yet. The amendment that was made was to remove 8th and 9th grade from taking the PSAT. That was made by Mr. Sokolovic. I said it was seconded by Mr. Traber, clarified it was Mr. Medina, although Mr. Medina didn't appear on my screen. Regardless, it was seconded. All in favor of removing the 8th and 9th graders from taking the PSATs, say aye. I'm going to say roll call vote for this one.
All right. I'm going in order of who I see. So Mr. Traber? You're on mute.
Sorry, pass.
Mr. Sokolovic?
No.
Mr. Medina? I didn't get that, Mr. Medina. Okay. Ms. Baptiste Perez?
No, I think it's a terrible idea to remove the opportunity for 8th and 9th graders to take the PSAT. I think it would be detrimental to their academic future and outcomes.
Mr. Woodson?
Yeah, no.
Mr. Woodson?
No.
Mr. Benahan?
Absolutely no.
Ms. Bain?
No, I do not agree with removing PSATs from any student at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Casimir?
Absolutely not. These black and brown kids in this school district can and do deserve the same chances that all of the surrounding school districts deserve. So absolutely hard no.
I'm going with no. I'm sorry, I'm missing somebody. Mr. Traber?
No.
No. Mr. Medina?
Can
All right,
you
we
guys hear me?
Now we do.
I've been no.
You were unmuted and I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I tried to text you because I was trying to respond, but you guys think I apologize. No.
Okay. So it's all no's.
The amendment to exclude 8th and 9th graders from access with the PSAT failed. Now we are back to the main motion, which was approval of the SAT and PSAT purchasing. Are there any hands up for the main motion? Being none, we'll take the vote. All in favor of the approval of the SAT and PSAT purchasing, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Hearing none, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of Imagine Learning Edgenuity Academic Integrity. Ms. Murchison?
Yes, ma'am, I'm still here. We use Imagine Learning as a credit recovery platform in our high school, for high school courses. If students take the course the first time and they are unsuccessful on that course, we can put them on the Edgenuity platform, which still covers the same material and same standards that were originally taught in the course, so that they can recover credit in the course. This allows us to exponentially increase the number of students that have opportunities to participate in credit recovery at one time. Imagine our licenses are about to expire on July the 1st. Imagine Learning was kind enough to extend our current license to get us through summer school, which ends on July the 20th. But if this is not approved, our students won't have access to this credit recovery opportunity through Imagine Learning after July 20th.
Great. I don't see any hands up. Mr. Sokolovic? Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, I'll pass for a moment because I'm looking for the data through the 106-page packet and I'm having trouble finding the portion with the data in it.
Oh, Mr. Traber?
Is this the program, Dr. Murchison, did you just say that this is the program we're currently using?
Yes, sir. We currently use this program so that students can recover credits in high school. If they take the course and they're unsuccessful the first time, we allow them to recover credit in the course through Edgenuity. They extended our licenses to get us through summer school. However, if this is not approved this evening, we will not be able to continue to offer that access to the students after July 20th.
Okay, and how many kids, so is it an either or? If a student fails a course during the school year, do they automatically take this this makeup, or do they take summer school? Is it an either or? How does that work?
This is the program that we use in summer school for students to recover credit. However, students have the opportunity to utilize this program throughout the school year as well.
How does that work throughout the school year? They can do it after school, they do it during school?
They can do it after school, and if the school has an advisory period, such as a homeroom period, in their master schedule, they can do it during that time as well. PJ, would you like to unmute and talk a little bit about how we've used the program prior to my arrival?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. We've been using Edgenuity now, I want to say for about 3 years, 2.5 years it may be. And Mr. Traber, basically what happens is as Ms. Murchison said, if a child fails a course, they would have to, by law, sit for that course. If they fail it, we put them inside of Edgenuity. They take the Edgenuity course inside of that platform that helps our children obtain that necessary credit that they lost. And that happens, as Ms. Murchison said, which can happen during an advisory period or a period that is designated for those children who need to make up that credit during the day, and or if there is time after school, or a child can do it at home at this point and follow through coming back to school with a teacher or monitor, whether that be the administrator or the teacher, coming back and monitoring the progress that the child is making, and then going through having to pass a test at the end, and then they will obtain credit for that course. We do have a decent number of students, especially in 9th and 10th grade, that do take credit recovery and do make up courses. The program is invaluable in the sense that a lot of our children are making up credit, and it's one of those ways that we're able to help the child obtain the credits. Since the law says they have to sit for the course and have X number of seat time, which is 120 hours. It allows our students to be able to take those courses and, obtain them rather than failing at this point and not having to a platform or something to take, and then having their graduation be 5 or 6 year graduation, or them being in a 5 or 6 year graduation period, I should say.
And that you mentioned that these are monitored. How are they monitored?
Monitored by the teachers when you go in. Each one of these courses that are set up, they're aligned to those courses that we have, in Power School, obviously. At this point, the child will take the course. They have, their modules and sections that go on. It's pretty rigorous. They have to, at this point, go through the full course. There can't and isn't any modifications in the course. And inside of that course, depending on the child, again, some children can get it done, in, 20 hours or 30 hours. Some kids, it takes a little bit longer, could be, 40, 50, or 60 hours, depending on, how long that course takes, what that course is, and the requirements to pass that course. Now, teachers and or administrators are monitoring that. Like I said, we've had credit recovery now for I couldn't tell you how long. It's maybe 12 years, 13 years, but we've only been using Edgenuity for maybe about 3.5 years. Could be 4. Don't quote me on that, please, but somewhere around that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Perez?
I think PJ sort of hinted at the question, but how many students are currently needing credit recovery? And also for this, for the first invoice at least, does that cover an unlimited amount of students? Or is there a cap?
No, so right now for the high school, Ms. Murchison would have those numbers, but in general, I mean, I can get you the credit recovery numbers. Like I said, we utilize credit recovery. It is being used by a lot of students. And again, I can't break down each grade level. It's a little bit different. And, in some grade levels, it could be up to 20% of the students who are using it to recover a course. What we'll do is, at this point, get a breakdown if needed, and we'll be able to give that to you, give those numbers to you.
We currently have 253 students enrolled to participate in the summer credit recovery program happening at Harding, starting on July 1st and running through July 19th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I have a comment as well.
Yes, Dr. Lovey Davis.
I wanted to make sure that we also keep in mind that with our current block scheduling that we use for high school, there are advantages to block scheduling, but there are also hazards to block scheduling when it comes to having students not passing the first semester of a course and moving on to the second semester. At times, students may find themselves having to take a credit recovery course concurrently with the second half of a course where they haven't been successful. That's number one. Number two, the other challenge that we are seeing, and I know that goes without even reminding, is with our AP classes. When students are taking those courses in the first semester and then waiting until the second semester to take the assessment, which is also creating low passing rates. So the need to have a program like Edgenuity is very important to the success of our students and to providing them with the access needed to master not only the subject coursework, but also the ability to graduate on time. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair, on my documentation.
Yes,
Hello?
Mrs. Sullivan.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Carafa mentioned teachers monitor the course. Who teaches the course?
It's done through Edgenuity. The program actually teaches the course. What it is, it's a self-paced program that you get into the program, and it goes through the modules and the different blocks that it has inside of it. You're mandated after certain things. You have to pass tests. In other words, before you go on to the next section. I've seen it. I've been in it. It's pretty decently put together for the kids. Teachers can also, while the test is going on, monitor the test at that time. And at the end, they do monitor the test at the end to make sure that the test is taken while the child is there, so that child's not online or doing anything else at this point. Is done in front of an administrator, a teacher, whoever has that period or that course at that time. That's pretty much how the program is run. Now, mind you, most of these children have already sat for 120 hours of the mandated seat time that they needed. And this is on top of the mandated 120 hours that they've sat. So again, this program, depending on the time that it takes a child, I've been in there and seen sometimes it takes 100 hours for a kid to finish the credit recovery course. It all depends on the child, the amount of time they put into the program, and again, how many credit recovery courses they're taking at the same time.
Okay, another question. As far as the amount of times they can take the assessment, did they take the assessment once, fail, and then it's all over, or did they get to take multiple chances?
The student receives multiple chances to take the assessment, but before the student takes the assessment, there is a quiz. And if the student takes the quiz and is not successful on the quiz, the program actually locks the student out, and the teacher has to provide some sort of intervention, unlock the program again, and then give the student another opportunity to take the quiz before they take the test. But the teacher has the ability to reset the test as often as needed for the student to be successful.
Okay, and yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the online portion. Our kids spend a lot of time online, and as far as the monitoring, I believe I heard mentioned that some kids take it at home, some kids take it at school inside the a part of the school when they got a free period or whatever have you. Just how close is that monitoring to like prevent things like plagiarism and the such, like.
Every course is assigned to a teacher, so you can't have a kid in a course that's not assigned to a teacher. So say you're enrolled in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. There's an Algebra 1 teacher assigned to that Algebra 1 course that's monitoring your progress in the course or lack thereof. And then the same thing from Algebra 2 or any other course that you're enrolled in the program.
And where does this monitoring take place? Because I've known people that have actually worked the program, and they would monitor remotely the students' access. Are they like sitting there in the room with the students, or are they monitoring remotely? And how many students per teacher is being monitored?
Well, I can't speak to the number of students per teacher, but it depends. If the student is taking the class during the day, it's like an actual credit recovery period on their schedule, then the teacher and the student are in the room together. For summer school, the teacher and the students are in the room together, and the teacher is monitoring as the student is working or intervening as needed while the student is in the room with them. PJ may be able to speak to the number of students that are enrolled in the course with them.
So again, it all depends. So, I mean, if it's done in the classroom, I guess it all depends on the period, how many children are actually taking the course during that time or the courses during that time period. So, I mean, there are a lot of variables around, around credit recovery. Again, as Ms. Murchison said, there are teachers or administrators, depending on who has the class, who are assigned to these students. There are tests that, as Ms. Murchison said, that if a student cannot pass the test, it is frozen. The teacher comes in, the teacher, works with the student at that point, and then can open it up again for the child to be able to take the course. Just like any other product or any other piece of software we have, those students who, who are diligent, who get into it and, really want to succeed, they're going to do a little bit more than some of those children who need a little bit more help in, getting them in and understanding, the importance of taking those courses. But again, as far as the ratio goes, I mean, that changes per semester, and it changes per, who needs credit, in a certain course at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to pass the credit recovery course.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Can we just make the motion to pass the Imagine Learning Edgenuity academic integrity? Sorry.
That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's been a motion to approve the Imagine Learning Edgenuity academic integrity. Is there a second?
Right. I second it then.
Okay. Let's start this all over again because I'm confused and the record needs to read clearly.
Okay, Jennifer, go ahead.
Motion to approve Imagine Learning, Edgenuity, Academic Integrity.
Tahiba Bain seconds it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. We're now in debate. Ms. Bain, is your hand still up from the motion or you have something to say for debate?
No, no, I heard enough. I'm good. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, I was going to inquire as the cost of the program. Was my question heard?
I didn't hear you on my end, sorry. I don't know if anybody else did.
The cost of the program. Hello?
My God, can somebody answer his question? How much gonna cost the program, please, so we can get
Someone's
forward?
trying to answer. You are on mute.
I think it's on page 16 and 17 of the packet. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, but I'm also looking for the public to know how much money we're spending as well. That's kind of important to me.
Then read it out loud.
Albert, you're on mute.
Who are you asking? Can you ask somebody directly so we could get going?
Dr. Murchison, how much does this program cost? How much will we be spending on it? And what is the funding source, please?
It is coming out of a grant fund. The total cost is $98,835.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Mr. Traber?
Yes, I guess, Ms. Perez, I don't see the cost on the paper. So could you explain that cost to me then?
You're asking me?
Dr. Murchison, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm looking on the paper because you said it's on the paper and I'm looking for it and I don't see it. So could you explain it to us, Dr. Murchison?
Sure. The Edgenuity 6 through 12 comprehensive concurrent user licenses, we're buying 50 of those. That's $49,500.
Oh, it's the two pages. I get it. It's the 71,775 plus the 2760.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's where I was getting confused. And the 50 licenses that can be used by multiple students. That's the question I was getting. That's why I was getting confused. We can use them over and over again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's where I'm looking. Going 50. We just said there's 253 kids this summer. How do we use 50? Okay, so we can use that over and over again.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, what grant is this again?
Nadira, if you're still on the call, I believe it's the ESSER, but I don't want to speak to Nadira's money.
This is actually coming out a combination of a couple of different grants, but yes, just for ease of explanation, we could say ESSER, but it is funded fully on the background.
And just for the public's sake, could
ARP
you,
ESSER is the easiest thing to say right
no,
now.
but
Yes.
could you explain who you are? And
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Nadira
I don't
Clark.
think everybody watching this understands.
Knows who I am. Apologies. I'm Nadira Clark. I'm the Director of Grants Development and Management.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm done. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sokolovich? Your hand is up.
Apologies, I forgot to put it down. I know you told me about that. Sorry.
Ms. Casimir? Oh, I think this beyond.
Hi,
We're in debate regarding,
item 5, right?
yes.
I make a motion to approve the Imagine Learning Edgenuity academic integrity.
No, we're already in debate for that, Ms. Casimir.
Okay. No, no debate. I'm sorry.
No problem. All right, seeing no other hands up for debate, and we can take the vote.
Roll
All
call,
in
please.
favor?
Roll call, please.
Roll call vote. All in favor for the approval of the Imagine Learning Ingenuity academic integrity?
Robert Traber,
Yes.
Tahiba Bain,
Yes.
Christine Baptiste Perez,
Yeah.
Joseph Sokolovich,
I'm a no.
Akeisha Casimir,
Yes.
Albert Benahan, I'll come back to you. Andre Woodson,
Yes.
Willie Medina,
I abstain.
you're Andre, you're still on, your mic is still on. Jen Perez will say yes, and then Albert Benahan, if you're still there.
I'm abstaining.
All right, we have 2 abstentions, 1 no, and 6 yeses. So it passes.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of lenses on literature 6 to 12 ELA curriculum. Ms. Casimir, you have your hand up.
Yes, I move to approve lenses on literature 6 through 12 ELA curriculum.
There's been a motion to approve lenses on literature 6 to 12 ELA curriculum. Is there a second?
I second it, Tahiba Bain.
It's been seconded by Ms. Bain. All right, we're in debate, but if any, Ms. Murchison, if you can just give us a presentation on lenses on literature 6 to 12 ELA curriculum.
Yes, ma'am. So the first thing that I will say is this is going to be funded from a grant. Our Director of Grants Management, Nadira Clark, is on the call and can speak to which specific grant if anyone has a question about that. The other thing is that currently at the high school level, grades 9 through 12, we do not have a Tier 1 ELA curricular resource. We did meet with the BEA union to talk about curriculum, and we let them know that we were in the process of trying to select one to fill the void of not having an ELA curriculum, or honoring our commitment to provide research-based literacy instruction. We did inform them that we would publish a timeline, and we did put that timeline on the district's website for the process that we would be going to review all of the curriculums. We had two companies that were willing to offer free webinars to our teachers so that they could demo the materials and that the teachers could ask questions about the materials. And then we also did a survey for the teachers after teachers had an opportunity to demo 2 different products. And then there were 2 companies that did not do webinars, but they gave us a free login, like a trial login. So we could go in and look around. All of that information was shared with all of the teachers regarding who teach ELA. It was shared with them as well as shared with the BEA, Jeff Morrissey, so that they all had an opportunity to review those curricular resources. Our Director of Literacy, Dr. Michelle Zanowskis, is on the call, and she can give you some information about what the teachers said in the survey.
Good evening, everyone. I can share with you that we did get teacher responses to the Carnegie Learning Curriculum, and I can share directly what teachers said. There were 8 teacher responses that provided direct feedback. One said that I think it is a wonderful resource and a great foundational core to use as long as teachers have the option to add supplemental activities and materials. A second teacher said, please get this one. It's the most research-backed, standard-aligned, culturally sensitive, and equity-based option. This would be amazing for all teachers and students. I did have a few teachers ask if having physical texts was going to be an option included with the purchase of the curriculum. One teacher did also comment on the efficacy data that was very impressive. And I can also share other information if it would be helpful based on teacher feedback.
Perez.
So 8 out of how many ELA teachers do we have in high school?
I had 13 teachers that opted to take the survey. It was sent out to all teacher leaders and then disseminated to teachers, is my understanding. And I had 13 teachers take the time to respond and include written feedback in addition to answering the questions.
And then this might be a question for the grants, but there are, I think, 4 invoices we had. Let me just double check. 4 invoices. So is the grant covering the total? Where is the money coming? Like, what's the grant exactly? And is it covering all 4 of those invoices? And what's the grant total?
Yes, so this would be out of our ARP ESSER, and I do not have the documents in front of me. Ms. Murchison, if you'll be able to give the grand total.
I'm pulling them up now.
Okay.
I'm pulling them up now.
Yes. But we would have originally couched that in our ARP ESSER purchase.
And 8 teachers gave feedback, but how many teachers had the actual opportunity to use do you know how many had the opportunity to actually use the demo?
The opportunity was given to all of the teacher leaders to then disseminate to the teachers. So all teachers had the option if they chose to take advantage of that. I can't speak to how many chose to take advantage of the demo, but it was provided to all of the teacher leaders.
Gotcha. And another, we've received feedback from a teacher, and one of the things he mentioned was that it's designed for year-long courses, and we have obviously the semester courses. What's the plan to address that issue?
I think that would best be answered by Mrs. Murchison in terms of high school semester scheduling.
When we met with the company, the current scheduling model was shared with them, and they indicated that should we choose to go with it, they were the only company who said that should we choose to go with them, they would adapt it so that everything that needed to be taught was taught in that semester. But they were the only company that was willing to adjust their curricular resource to our current scheduling model.
Okay. And then Dr. Levy David, and you in the last committee, Ms. Murchison, you mentioned how you are looking into year-long courses. So if we do adopt a semester-long course, would we be able to flip it around to a year-long in the future?
Yes, so we are going to be putting together a scheduling committee for high school that will be comprised of all of the directors. We're inviting BEA to participate. High schools have been requested to have one leader and at least one teacher from their campus on that committee. And we look to make a final decision about high school scheduling before we leave for Christmas, so that when we come back from Christmas, the master scheduling process can begin. So instead of myself, Dr. Avery, or Dr. Levy David, us being the only one to make that decision, we're putting together an entire committee.
All right, I'll yield my time.
Mr. Kolovic.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Couple of questions. As Ms. Perez stated, there's four invoices in here. Are they 4 separate contracts we're looking to enter into and purchase in totality approximately 4 million and change? Or are we picking from one of the 4? What's the case?
So they gave us a 1-year option, and they also gave us a 3-year option. The 3-year option, they were also the only company that if we chose to go with the 3-year option, they were willing to allow us to pay for the 3 years over time instead of paying upfront. So some of the quotes that you have in front of you are for 1 year, and some of them are for 3 years.
And which one are we recommending at this point in time?
My recommendation would be 3 years, because it takes 3 to 5 years to determine whether or not something is successful and to actually engage in the true transformation process.
Yeah, this is the thing that's really troubling me, especially on this one. The data is voluminous on this one, and judging from Ms. Perez, could correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this one was vetted by committee at all. And we're seeing this packet of a multi-million-dollar contract with a mere 30 hours to digest it. Not weighing in pro or con right at this moment, although there's some issues I would like to think further about, such as so much online learning, screen time, and the like. But we haven't had enough time to digest this as a board. So therefore, I'm going to make another motion to postpone this item until Thursday. It's Thursday the 27th at 6:30 p.m. so we can have a more time to read these millions of dollars of taxpayer funds we will be spending on a program that we just learned about less than 40 hours ago. And I think that's pretty reasonable. So my motion is to postpone until 27th of June at 6:30 p.m. Revisit this topic.
I'll second it.
Madam Chair.
I have my
Yes.
hand.
So There's been I think there's a subsidiary motion to table to Thursday.
Point of order, clarification, Madam Chair, it's a motion to postpone till Thursday.
It is a subsidiary motion to postpone to Thursday at 6:30. I move to amend the motion to a date that is before the start of the fiscal calendar. The fiscal calendar starts July 1. So then that way there can be coordination amongst the board members in terms of a date that will work for all.
Right, Madam Chair, that would, I suggested the 27th.
Yeah.
Just before.
And there's a date that we can have a meeting on Friday, we can have a meeting on Saturday, but to conform to a specific date and time, I'm moving to amend it so that as long as we get it done before the start of the fiscal calendar.
I'll second.
Which is Monday?
Yeah, the fiscal calendar is Monday. As a matter of fact, if you guys don't even mind withdrawing the motion, we could probably just table it because I hear your concerns. And so we can table the remainder of the items, but just know that we have to pass it before Monday because that's the fiscal calendar. So maybe be a time on Thursday, but I want to just I'll send an email out to coordinate with everyone so we're in compliance with FOIA again and to make sure it's going to work at the specific date and time. But it just has to be done before the 1st. Is that clear?
Information, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Why does it have to be done before the start of the fiscal year?
Some items need to be approved before the fiscal calendar in order, maybe if someone can better clarify it. I know there's some technicality with it, but it needs to be approved before the fiscal the calendar. Dr. Levy David or Indira, somebody. That way we can all read it, but we're all in compliance to get everything passed for our kids.
Yes, there are some time constraints in getting this passed, and those time constraints are absolutely financial because of the timing of the encumbrance of ESSER. Otherwise, we'll leave it on the table and we will not be able to use those funds, which is probably what Nadira is about to say right now. The second piece is that we have schools that are in school improvement, and we cannot begin the year without a research-based program for ELA for those schools and the time that teachers will need to begin the process of planning and curriculum writing and prepping for the beginning of the school year, which is also under severe time constraints because we have a union contract that we also have to follow. So there are some serious time constraints and serious consequences to not passing an ELA research-based resource. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware that these consequences are real.
I was not disagreeing. I asked just simply why since it's Monday, and Mr. Sakalovic and Ms. Perez had made a motion to meet again Thursday, and Ms. Baptiste Perez had a reason that it had to be done before the start of the fiscal year, and I didn't understand the difference. So that's the only reason I asked.
It's use it or lose it, and it's to read or not to read.
Is the ARP-ESSER deadline Monday, Ms. Clark?
That brings us into the new fiscal year. There are things that we want to make sure that goes into the old fiscal year, which ends on 6/30.
I understand. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Point of.
So Thursday.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Traber.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Just a further clarifying question. Isn't the expiration of ESSER ARP moved up till, I think, was it September?
Yes.
So
that is correct.
It's just a matter of getting it into this fiscal year, not use it or lose it before September.
That would be the preference. There are many major purchases we want to make sure is couched in the fiscal year that it's occurring in. We do have plans for the new fiscal year for the continuation of ARP-ESSER with the sunset of September 30th. But again, we want to make sure that we're placing things as expected in those years so that we're carrying on as best we can with our documentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Clark. And with that, withdraw. I think we got an amendment. We got to withdraw first. I
withdraw my second.
And I withdraw my second to the amendment. And I guess the motion's gone. Or do we have to vote on it? I'm sorry, I lost track. Do we have to vote on the withdrawals or no? No.
No, you don't vote on withdrawals. There's a main motion on the table, but what can be done is someone makes a motion to table items 6 through 11 to be discussed. I still say for safety reasons, we say before July 1st, and then we just get everybody's schedule to see.
Ms. Baptiste Perez, will you accept motion to postpone, to table items until a date to be determined by the chair?
Before the fiscal year.
I want to include before the fiscal year, but okay, that is fine. For a date to be determined by the chair. I'll send out an email to everyone if this is approved.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I'll second it just in case he needs a second.
Okay.
It's,
So I was suggesting the motion, but I'll be the maker of the motion. It's been moved by me and it's been seconded twice, first by Ms. Lakeisha Casimir and Mr. Willie Medina. We're in debate about tabling this. Hearing none.
Yeah, I don't think this one qualifies for debate.
That's okay. It's fine. We're going to now move into a vote. All in favor of tabling to a later date determined by the chair? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carries. And so those items have been tabled. The last item, we jump to item number 12, which is a adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, so
I
moved and
second that.
seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Hearing none. Meeting has adjourned. The time now is 8:50 p.m.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. God bless you all.
Good night. God bless.
Good night.